very happy to have you here, and very happy to have you ride the bike tomorrow. I'm going to bring up Devin Riley, who's our marketing manager, to run through the program with you. And
this over here is going to be running through the entire product presentation for you guys, followed by a quick question and answer session, or actually however many questions and answers you need.
So also from my side, hello, good to have you here. So last weekend I was in Hurbalise, so it was, I think, a good choice to make the launch here and not there, from the sun and from the weather. And yeah, we started with a short film. The development process from the first scratches on the paper, ending up in a World Cup race. And now we'll go a little bit more in detail about the product, about the frame, but also the complete bike. So we started in model year 12 with our first 29er bike. So we were a little bit like other companies. We first had a look what's going on in the market, what's the bikes where we really need. The first 29er which we tried didn't make us really happy, so we really started to develop a new 29er because we would try to make our own geometry with some facts which others don't have. And so the result was in model year 12, the TE29. Already this bike was tested by the team and also ridden on some races from the team, but it was just the full alloy bike. Based on this bike, we had some really good test reports, and on nearly every report they mentioned that the ratio between agile and stable ride was perfect, and I think this is a good base to develop a new bike. So for the new bike we had mainly 3 requirements. The first one, to be fast. For this we tried to use the maximum advantage of the 29er wheels. The second one was the efficiency. For this we have the vertical compliance, which provides you a lot of traction, but also guarantees you that you have still enough power after a long ride, because you have the comfort of this bike. And then the last one, the weight. For a race bike, weight is always a big thing. So here our requirements was to make a frame completely with all hardware below 1 kilogram, which is 2.2 pounds, and make a seat post for this bike below 200 grams, which is 0.44 pounds. First, for the fast, as I said before, we don't have a complete different 29er bike, but we have really looked to the details. So we have short chainstays. It's 429 millimeters, which is 16.8 inches. This is one of the shortest chainstays which is at the moment available on the market. And this gives you, especially in tight corners, a really agile handling and a good riding. Then the second one of our BMC big wheel concept is the low BB. Why a low BB? Because the center of gravity of the rider needs to be as low as possible to the center of rotation of the wheels, and this gives you the feeling to sit in the bike and not on top of the bike, which gives you also a safe ride. The third one is the slagger head angle. So we have a head angle with 70 degrees. This gives you especially a stable ride on faster trails where you need it really, and stable feeling. So the details of the geometry are all on the paper you have in front of you for all the others. And then the third one is low stack height. It's always a big discussion on 29ers, especially for cross-country racing, the seating position, what is possible. So we made the head tube really short. So we have on the small sizes, we have 90 millimeter, on the medium 100, on the large 110. And so it's really easy on this bike to find a good position and not this typical 29er high handlebar feeling. So this is a short overview about the geometry, but as I said before, you have the paper in front of you, you can take it with you with all the details about the geometry for all sizes. So this was the first requirement, to be fast. Then the second requirement, to be efficient. So we split it, the frame, in 2 parts. So we have on the frame on the lower end the solid base, because we have 3 points on the bike which you really need the stiffness. This is on one hand the rear wheel, this is the BB, and this is the top tube, the head tube. The stiff head tube you need for the steering, for good precision, the BB for acceleration, and also the rear wheel for the acceleration and to transfer the power. And then we have the front end, and this has basically one job, just to hold the saddle. So we can bring comfort in the front end of the bike and the top end of the bike, but also have the stiffness of the lower end for acceleration and steering. And this is our test machine. As you can see here, the fork is locked, the BB is locked, and we bring in a force on the rear axle of the bike. If we start on the machine, you can see, as I said before, the solid base for the stiffness in torsion, vertical, and on the top end, the comfortable substructure. It's good to see here how the C-tube really absorbs the bunches and also the kink and the top tube. You can see how it absorbs. So on the second video, you can see the top end really here with these S-bands of the tube, how it absorbs the bumps and also the top tubes. So with this bike we have one of the stiffest BMC bikes we ever made. If you measure it between BB and head tube and also on the rear axle, but also have the comfort on the top end. We made, especially for this bike, a 27.2 seat post. This is the second point of this vertical compliance, because with this seat tube you have also a possible compliance here on the kink of this seat tube. This was it for efficiency. The third one, the weight. I would like to head over to Jonas. He's our specialist for carbon, about how to develop a frame like this and make this.
One of the main targets in this project at the beginning of the project was to achieve a really light weight. We wanted to be within the lightest frames that are on the market, if not the lightest. And we knew that we have to find, on one hand, suppliers that are able to produce such light frames, and we had to find new ways, new technologies to achieve such a light weight with still having the durability we want from such a product. So, what you can see here is one part of the frame that is cut open. You can look at it after the presentation. What is new for us is that we use inner molds for the full frame structure, which gives us perfect control over the fibers and the resin. So that means if you look at the inner surface, is also quite clean. It's not just the outer surface that is clean, but also the inner. There are no wrinkles and no heaps of resin, which are additional weight that don't support the frame stiffness and structure. So that's one part of the story. The other is also that we started quite early with this project, and as Matthias said, we took our time to make really the best product we can. Our goal was not to be the fastest, but to have the best product in the end. So we went through a lot of development cycles. So that means we start with the first prototype. We get it to Switzerland. We measure the stiffness. We ride it, and then go back to our supplier, discuss with them the layup of the fibers, the type of fibers we use, and go for the next version of the frame. With this frame, we really went through a lot of such cycles and prototype versions to really achieve the best possible product. So, yeah, it's important to understand that if you want to have the best product, you can only achieve it if you invest the time and money to go through a lot of different prototype stages. if below 1 kilogram, it's 980 grams, 2.15 pounds, which is one of the lightest frames on the market, if not the lightest in reality. So, yeah, we are quite proud of what we achieved with this frame, and yeah, hopefully you will feel it tomorrow on the ride. And Matthias will go further on with the presentation.
Thank you. So, as we said before, on the BB stiffness we are higher than on the teamelite 0126. On torsional stiffness also. On the comfort we are much higher than every mountain bike we had before, or every hardtail for sure. And on the weight of the complete frame, as Jonas said before, there are some brands out there which claim their frames lighter than ours, but our weight is true and it's one of the lightest, if not the lightest frame. Here, just to give you a short overview and comparison between the 29er and our teamelite 0126. As you can see, on a 26er bike you have probably a little bit better acceleration compared to a 29er, but if you see all the other facts like traction, like smoothness, like riding fun, with a 29er bike, especially 29er hardtail, in our feeling, is a much better compromise and much better performance. So just to go to some frame details, as I said before, we had really tried to look on each detail. So we have a direct mount FD, but also, as you can see here or later on the bike, we have this chain catcher plate, which avoids chain suck and damaging on the frame from the chain. It's adjustable for 2 and 3 chainring cranksets, so you can use it on both. Then we have this tapered head tube. As I said before, it's really a short head tube, but also stiff because of the taper and also of the big head tube section. And we have this natural born, as we call it, post mount for direct mount 160mm rotors. On this system we have in this hole alloy inserts, so if you need to change it or you have problems with the thread, you can just change the alloy bolts and not damaging the frame.
So will there be a possibility to mount 140mm rotors?
No, it's just 160 or 180. 140mm is in our feeling too short or too small for a 29er wheel. You have this bigger diameter which brings more heat to the brake, and for this we go for 160. And yeah, on the spec, so on our XO bike we have a full XO drivetrain. We have the 2438 chain wheels, we have the 1136 cassette, we have the XO carbon brake with 180mm rotors in the front, 160 in the rear. We have this new Model 13 Fox fork. I don't know if some of you were on the Fox presentation. This is already the new one with this CTD technology, which Fox will present here on the Sea Otter. So you have tomorrow the chance to ride this fork right before the Fox launch. On the wheels, we use the EA70 XCT tubeless wheels and with ONSA tubeless tires. So we delivered it with the tube, but you can easily switch it to tubeless just with these tires and these wheels. Weight of the complete bike, as you can see it here with the XO spec, is 9.8 kilograms, which is 22 pounds. I think this is really one of the best weight you can achieve with a bike like this. As said before, we made a special seat post for this bike. It comes in standard with the 0mm offset, as you can see here. But optional, we have a 15mm offset like on this bike, or if you need also 30mm offset. Yeah, to come back to our requirements. To be fast, we have the big wheel concept, which is our geometry and the solid base. To be efficient, we have the TCC, the tuned compliance concept, which gives us the vertical compliance. And we have really a light frame and also a light bike. And so this was now many numbers, many information, but I think the reality is out there. So we have this bike now since nearly 9 months in our team. So some of the team riders like Alex Moos used it a lot on marathons. So we have on this bike nearly 8,000 kilometers of training and 500 kilometers of racing. We used it also together with Moritz Milatz on the Cape Epic. And as you can see on the left, Steven Ettinger used it in South Africa and in Huvalis on the World Cup. And I would like to welcome it. He also here with us. So, Steven, you changed from this year from the under 23 BMC team to the elite team.
Yep.
Now in the race with the big boys.
Yep.
How were the first races?
It's been great. As you said, I last year raced with the BMC development team here in the U.S. They'll have a presence here at Seattle Classic, and this year I made the jump to the professional team over in Europe, living there full time now in southwest Switzerland, and it's been great. It's been a nice change. We've got a great BMC family, and it's been good to be able to stay in that family, and the racing has gone very well. We started with 2 weeks down in South Africa and did a test race on the World Cup track, and then we had the first World Cup of the season. Moritz was, I think, in the top 10, or no, excuse me, he was 11th, and the rest of us filed in over the next 40 places or so. So as a team, we had a good show, and then we got to do our first BMC Cup. The BMC Racing is sponsoring the Swiss National Series now, so it's the BMC Racing Cup. We kicked that off in Books a few weeks ago, and had great support from all the fans, and we had families out barbecuing and checking out the bikes. And then last weekend, we were in Huvalis for what is probably the most historic World Cup there is, with 30,000 Belgians smoking cigarettes and screaming at me. And it went really well. I think Moritz was 18th. I was 36th as the top American. And so the Olympic dream is getting closer each week.
Yeah, I think the big goal for this season for a lot of mountain bikers, and now also for you. You use on the race now the 29ers. What are your reasons to go with this bike?
BMC asked me at the beginning of the season if I would be interested, and I had never never raced a 29er before. I'd ridden my friends' 29ers in the past, but I'd always been a pretty big believer in the 26 bike, particularly for racing in Europe, just because of that low acceleration thing you were talking about. They talked to me about the weight and the research that went into it, and I said, why not? I'm not really a gear guy. I don't really know a whole lot about head tube angles and what that does to a bike, but I know when I climb on a bike, if it feels good or not, and I was sold immediately, and I have the option to race whatever bike I like from BMC. But I have no reason to ride anything else because I've been so happy with this so far.
Okay, and what's your goals for the next years? So in racing?
Well, I mean, you know, like I said, I'm really happy with the BMC family right now. I love what we're doing. And hopefully just continue to rise to the top, I guess. You know, the Olympics this year are definitely a big goal, as I mentioned. But right now I'm 22 years old and racing in the top 40 at World Cups. So hopefully each year I can continue moving up and eventually be in that top 10. That's really my goal right now.
Okay, thank you. So you'll come with us tomorrow for the ride. So
Yeah, I'm excited. It'll be good.
it's especially good to see that somebody's really coming out of the BMC development team up to the top team and performs so well. Yep. So this was basically the presentation. If you have any question, ask me now, or Jonas, or later on the ride, or during the lunch. So whatever you want.
That one slide you had where it showed like the two red slides where what acceleration you see on the 26 was ahead.
Yeah.
But you're feeling that you're gaining some of that back overall.
Yeah. If you really need to accelerate from the start to a several level of speed, you need a little bit more energy on the 29er to come to this level. But then you have the energy in the bike, so you have it in the rotating mass. So if some bumps come or something, you come so much smoother over these bumps with the 29ers and stay on this level of speed. On a 26 you come easily up on this level, but you lose it on every bump and have to really accelerate to come to this level. So
how did that graph come? Where do you get those numbers? How did you determine that, or is that just visual?
that's just visual, yeah.
Okay.
That's just, it's not really a measurement of something, it's just the feeling of the bike.
Okay. So I know you're Swiss. This could be exact numbers, some labs numbers. I don't know.
We try our best and we'll present it perhaps next year and see how that. No, but there was some studies out there between 26 and 29ers, and on one study I know the result was that even if a 29er is 1.5 kilo heavier than a 26er, you have over a cross-country race a lot of advantage with the 29ers, even with a much higher weight, as the difference is really in practice.
How much higher was the weight?
1.5 kilo. That's what I heard from this study. But it always depends on the trail, for sure.
Are there different sizes engineered for different weight riders?
Yeah, not really, because I mean, there are certain standards in testing that we need to achieve regardless of the size. So that's always the first point. When we design a bike, we need to achieve those standards. So that's doesn't take the weight of the rider into account, or not the size of the rider. So yeah, that's why in the end every frame is tested to the same standards. Yeah, and we have additional standards that go above those. How shall I say? Standardized standards that came from like EN standards, or also sometimes our suppliers have their own standards. We went above in some tests, but we keep them the same because we can also not be sure that a tall rider is actually heavier. That we will always find every type of rider at any size. We also
These are the dropouts, these things to fix the cables and things like that. Yeah, seat collar, the short and the small inserts for the brake, the threaded inserts.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, basically all the things that belong to the frame, so you can build it into a bike.
How did you measure that?
So we have two tests. One test you have seen on the video. The other test is we apply the force in this direction to the seat post and then measure the vertical compliance between this and the rear jaw. Because you can't really calculate it to the end, so you have to do several loops and improve it and change it, that you have in the end a frame which is durable but also comfortable, and this costs some money.
One of the reasons that I've decided to stay on the 29er this season is because I've noticed such a difference in the comfort level and the ride quality between the 26er teamelite from last year that I was racing on to the 29er this year. I feel like at the end of a race, I am much, my back and my arms, those things that make a difference in a long ride or a hard ride or a race, those fatigue levels are a lot less and a lot more comfortable on the bike throughout the ride. No.
End of May. We have a limited quantity coming in the end of May, and then retail pricing, Devin, is $54.99.
And that's with the exo spec that you're seeing here, and a couple key things that are then run through an EC70 bar on this bike. You're seeing an Easton stem. There's no off-brand or non-brand parts on this thing. There's great continuity between how this bike is outfitted.
The other important point is that this is a 2013 bike that we've released early. So it's pretty exciting to get something new.
Not this split, so this was just to explain the different what the parts have to do on the frame. In the producing process, it's different parts which are then assembled together, but it's not this split.
That's not a production frame right there.
It was a production frame, but
it's just cut it to show this. The seat post, but the problem is on a mountain bike hardtail, if you really come on rough sections, you're mostly standing on the bike. So then the seat post has no influence. So as long as you stand on the bike, you have the vertical compliance from the frame. Doesn't matter which seat post you use, but if you sit on the saddle, the seat post helps also for the vertical compliance.
Is that going to affect the compliance of the C2?
So you mean if this would be here one connection directly?
If the C2 were to be pushed down, the seat post be pushed down this far in the C2, is that going to affect the compliance of the frame?
No, because it's mainly clamped here. So if you have movement here, it's move around the seat post. So the seating eye has no influence to compliance. 3-year warranty on the frame, but if you make a registration on our website, you can have 5 years warranty.
plus a product crash replacement program that we run. So if you register your frame after you bought it, you have a lifetime crash replacement warranty.
We've seen a relatively big jump over the last 12 months of people registering their product simply because we offer the extra 2 years of warranty.
Yeah, it's really good.
I think you get Phil and a lot of he was hoping to give you a video with a lot of more riding and less focus.
Yeah, it's just there's a lot of background.
We already told that actually we want to put it on the right new folded device. I think it takes too long to get to the right part. Of course.
That's super deep. They're all
Mexico.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, there we go.
You can go down there and your test weight is like, you know, this is mediocre. Not mediocre, but if you can be one of the top 5 guys, the phrase in geometry, 40,000.
And like you say, shortly after the doesn't like
It wasn't hard.
That's a problem. But when it's Mark's, because we were redoing our stuff.
Oh, yeah. I think that's when Todd did it, yeah.
And I went to the front page and I was like,
Yeah.
it's really.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Yeah, it's much cleaner. Our whole book was pretty basic. So. It was nice.
But then as soon as you do it,
It's a little, I did a little fair amount of work for last, I can't imagine here just
The launch date was back. Originally it was supposed to be launched by Ridley. So that shows you how far we just got started.
so it's like no, I'm not in the office.
I want to get on to the ball.
It's not a full-time department.
No, he writes. It says also
Wow. Mm-hmm. 7
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a full yeah, it's great for the tree.
No, that's a good.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you were out here.
You don't have to
I get between the tree and do these things. Yeah.
so much detail.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, it just happens.
Yeah.
best way to end a marriage, take your wife to game. Yeah. Actually, if you know the workshop, yesterday, I saw the most.